Yo, what is going on today, guys? It is Sam, better known as Samito. Welcome back to the channel today for my first State of Overwatch video. I wanted to give Blizzard a fair shot to actually come out and launch Overwatch 2 and deliver on a lot of the things that they promised, even though we had all lowered our expectations already. I'm going to be honest. I think they have failed at pretty much everything they have promised to do, aside from the community team who have done a good job of reaching out to streamers and drops and keeping frequent content and events coming out. So I think that's been good, but man, the game balance has been embarrassing. Ranked has been, I'm not even going to go there yet. And the shop skin stuff, we're going to talk a little bit about. PvE, where is it? And most importantly, 5v5 compared to 6v6. I actually think that 6v6 was better. I'm just going to straight up say it, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. So if you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Got the new G sleeve on. Hoodless, got a cool little design on it. Should be on sale soon. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Let's get right into the action here. I'm not pulling punches today. Let's freaking go. When Overwatch 2 launched, Team 4 and Aaron Keller really came out and tried to promise that there would be consistent and effective updates to the Overwatch 2 just ecosystem and game to make sure the game felt fresh, and that things that were overpowered, especially when you changed from 6v6 to 5v5, there was a lot of concern about one-shots, which I'm going to talk about how they've addressed that. And just in general, they wanted the game to have its heartbeat again and feel like there was a soul inside the game that was consistently getting the love that it really did deserve. Not only have consistent patches not really happened, but the patches that have come out have been incredibly ineffective and actually show that the people in charge of game balance, so I'm not going to name names today. I thought about it. I've recorded this a few times, and there's no point. I don't want to be that kind of guy. I don't really care about who's doing it. I care about the work that's being done. But the patches that have come out have just proven that the balance team understands nothing about the fundamental aspects of their game. They're like a doctor who can point out the body parts, but when asked to actually perform surgery, they don't understand the inner workings of the body, so they can't effectively fix issues that would internally happen. Now, I want to give Blizzard a pass on Season 1 because their ability to put out hot fixes was broken, and bugs do happen, guys. So you have to be fair, you have to be intellectually honest. In stress environments like this where you have to put out stuff quickly, things will break, and that's okay. So I want to give you guys a pass. However, when you have more time as a game balancer to actually think about what is going wrong and how you can fix it, if you then fail not once, not twice, but 3 times, I'm sorry, but you are the problem. If you look at how they've tried to nerf Sojourn, for example, I think Alec Dawson, the new lead hero designer, who I'm bringing up his name because I don't think he's accountable at all. I think he's new. The things he's been saying has been right, and he's got a lot of chances to prove himself. All of the heroes that have come out thus far have been from the Jeff Goodman era of hero design, who was the former lead hero designer for the entirety of Overwatch 1, Brig, Double Shield, you guys know. But they said, and this was smart when they said this, they said they want to be careful when nerfing Sojourn because they don't want to dumpster a character at high-level play so bad that low SR players cannot play the character. And that's a very smart way of game design. That is objectively true. However, if you look at what they actually tried to do to the hero, the first set of nerfs was the same set of mistakes that they made in Overwatch 1. When a character is overpowered and it is too strong, there is absolutely zero reason to apply compensatory buffs to the nerfs to the character. It makes no sense. Why would you buff her base damage, buff her ability to ramp up a railgun, and then buff Overclock to objectively the best hero in the game? It makes no sense. So not only do you do that on the first patch for the character, when you don't understand what makes her OP, which I will talk about here in a moment, but not only that, but the next patch comes out and you fix your ability to make hot fixes after making us wait an entire season, which is good. Thank God for that. But you then nerf her spread and her slide by 1 cooldown, by 1 second, and then take the slow off her distributor. And then say, oh, well, we want her to engage at close range. But that's not what makes the character OP. And not only does that only nerf the hero at low-level play, but it does nothing to high-level play, which is the exact opposite of what you guys publicly said that you wanted to do. So you completely miss, and not only do you completely miss, but you actually do the one thing you said specifically that you don't want to do after not being able to put out patches at all when Aaron Keller promised it was going to be different. How can you let that happen? right? What makes Sojourn OP is her ability to build the rail without a cooldown and combo it with her damage to instantly like get a body shot combo on somebody. Comparatively, it would be like if Soldier had Sojourn slide and every 4 bullets he hit, he built up a hit scan helix rocket. Changing the spread by like 25% does nothing to that. And anybody who actually has a remote fundamental understanding of the game will know that immediately. So the balance team, which is the same team as Overwatch 1, just so people know, it's the same personnel that ruined Overwatch 1, and it sucks to see the same exact mistakes from Overwatch 1 ruin all of the hard work and honestly better things in terms of consistent content coming out, in my opinion, the events, like the battle pass, all of these good things that the leadership, that Aaron Keller's team have done better to make Overwatch a modern game are just being completely overshadowed by the same exact incompetence that was promised to be different. There is no excuse for it. Especially when, it's not even, let's branch out from Sojourn here, right? Let's look at Hog and Widow, right? 2 heroes that have one-shot mechanics that have been incredibly dominant for what Widow has slowly come back up at high-level play, but especially Roadhog. When the team specifically said that they were nervous about one-shots ruining the game in 5v5 compared to 6v6, which was a smart thing to say, that is one of the downsides when you switch to 5v5. How is it that none of them get addressed in a timely manner to the point where ranked is unplayable? We dumpstered Genji before who did need nerfs, but then when we changed the DPS passive from movement speed to straight reload, which helps a lot of hit scan heroes and poke heroes, there aren't compensatory buffs to the nerfs that just happened. There is zero thought going into any of these balance patches, and it is ruining this game. In fact, it's ruined the game so much on top of the rank system, which we're about to get into, that the top streamers don't even bother playing competitive anymore. It's unqueuable. It is unqueuable. That is pathetic, Blizzard. Pathetic. And you guys are better than that, man. You deserve better than that. I've seen how much work a lot of these other teams are putting into this game, and they deserve better. Everyone deserves better. And it's at the point now where the game has been taken away from its competitive scene so much over the years that the Overwatch League orgs, as of yesterday, filed a lawsuit against Activision for compensation for the investment that they made into the Overwatch League, because the game over the years has specifically been taken in a direction that goes against the interests of the competitive scene. So even the orgs are being screwed over by these years of terrible decisions. And this is something that I warned everyone about 4 years ago, that everyone said I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs about. But now here we are. We are literally at a point where the Overwatch League orgs are suing the company. You can't make this up. It needs to be better. And actually, I don't really think this is a Team 4 specifically issue. This is an Activision Blizzard issue, because this company has been obsessed with making change for the sake of change and selling new stuff rather than actually maintaining a good product. Hot take, the old rank system was fine and it's leagues better than this. And this is not a shot at the people who are making the new system. Y'all should not have had to make a new system in the first place. But this new ranking system is garbage. They tried to make ranked a ranked mode for people who don't enjoy ranked. It won't work, right? Private profiles should be gone in competitive. Ranks should be displayed on your screen. You probably should not be getting plats on your team if you're a GM player or a Masters player if they have a plat on the other team. Especially when there's one less player in the game, the matchmaker should be easier, and yet somehow it took 3 steps back. So we finally fixed the monetization issues of the game. We finally fixed the battle pass, free to play. They do all of these things right, but instead of taking the existing systems that objectively worked, which they might not have been able to do because the game needed a new engine, in which case you could go all the way back and say Overwatch 2 never needed to happen, which it clearly in hindsight never did, but we're not going to be dead horse here because there's no point in talking about that. It can't be changed. That's just ranting no, that's not solution-based. We want to be solution-based here. But it just makes no sense right? It makes no sense. It's with Blizzard. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. In this case, 3 steps back because the balance is not better. The rank system is worse. It's like your top streamers aren't even touching it. It's embarrassing. And this is a Fortune 500 company. Though, I guess, you know, you could look at their leadership and say, obviously, this is probably, when your leadership's that bad, I mean, this is not a shot at Aaron, by the way, it's a shot at Kotick and all those guys. When your leadership is that bad, this is what's going to happen, right? So it's just terrible. Ranked is unqueuable, it's objectively worse, and it's just a joke. Blizzard, design your ranked mode for the people who want to play it competitively. The scoreboard was a step in the right direction, but get rid of private profiles and show people's ranks on the screen. It's pathetic. Now, speaking of change, just for the sake of change, let's talk about 5v5. And I'm just going to drop my truth bomb opinion right here, right now. 5v5 is not peak Overwatch. 6v6 was better, and I'm going to explain why. Part of the reason why 5v5 feels bad right now, to be fair, is because the game balance has been terrible. And when you have a balanced team that clearly is incapable of understanding the outlying issues of the game, they've let one-shots be rampant, they have not nerfed things properly, they can't do it. Let's just throw in the towel. They clearly can't do it. They couldn't do it in the previous game. They can't do it now. Nothing's changed, right? Things that are oppressive in 5v5 are going to be even more oppressive in a 5v5 format instead of a 6v6 format, because you had another player to help cover that, or another hero to help cover that in the previous game. Similar to when SVB talked about how when you have like a throwing player in Overwatch 2, it's kind of worse because, you know, there's one less player on each team. The same thing can be said for hero balance. So when things aren't balanced well, it's even worse in 5v5 than it is in 6v6 because there's not another hero to help cover that. That's a small issue. The bigger issue is that it limits the options of hero playstyles in the game, and the gap between the best heroes in the game and the worst heroes in the game is going to be an even larger disparity. For example, right, let's talk about options first. Junker Queen is just the only tank, right, in 5v5. You can only pick one tank, which creates kind of a rock, paper, scissors between tanks, but I've been playing a lot of 6v6 in customs recently, and I will say this, playing Junker Queen as an off tank in 6v6 is some of the most fun I've ever had playing Overwatch, dude. The tank synergies just allowed so much more diversity in the game, and it really opens up Overwatch, and I think that's what made the game so beautiful and made the game so loved. There were so many diverse playstyles and combos and synergies that made the game exponentially more fun, because if you think about all the different potential combos that could come from just having a second tank on the field, it's dozens. It's so much, and that depth is what made the game so much fun, especially when we had to go from an open queue format to a role queue format, which I'm not really going to talk about that too much today, but it watered the game down and made the game a shell of what it was for the sake of quality and consistent matches. But if you go down to 5v5 in a role queue format, you've watered down your game even more, and it just feels boring, to be honest with you. It's just boring to play, it lacks depth, and it's just a hollow shell for your average Timmy to come on and play at like after work and just hop on quick play and mess around because it's easier to get into the game. But we sacrifice what made the game so special, and that's all Overwatch has really done. Excuse me, I had to burp. That's all Overwatch has really done over the years. And I just don't enjoy it. I think the game lacks depth. It's a shallow hole of its former self, in which case all the things that we were promised to have be better in a 5v5 environment are just straight up worse. And maybe if the game balance was this bad in 6v6 and they changed Orisa and changed Double Shield the way they had right now, maybe, just maybe, we would have been able to answer it with 2 tanks and play dive and play different comps and answer Roadhog and answer Sojourn, who I think is worse in 6v6 because you have 2 tanks to mitigate her damage. And now here we are, you know, in the exact dumpster fire we wanted to avoid. And it's worse. I miss the depth of 6v6, and I personally think when you say, if I was to ask you honestly at home, peak Overwatch, peak at its best, are you going to say a 5v5? Or are you going to say 6v6? I think the answer is no-brainer 6v6 because you can just do more. And if a lot of these hero changes had come to 6v6, the game would be in a much better state. Next, let's talk about the shops. And this one is one I actually kind of went against the public on a little bit. Everyone was complaining that the shop prices were overpriced for the bundles and stuff. And now I will say I agree with you on like a lot of the reskins and skins that already existed. They're being posted for like 10, 20 bucks on the shop. I think that is silly. However, the new bundles that were specifically designed to be bundles, I understand why those are priced the way they are, because the reality is the company has to ring the register. It's capitalism, guys. You know, that like the more money the company makes on things that are cosmetic, don't actually affect gameplay, I think the better it is. Are they a little overpriced? Sure, but I'm willing to give them that because they have to find a way to make money and ring the register and bring in business, because that will help the IP and the game succeed. So it's almost like fueling the gas tank, and I'm okay with that. As long as that money actually gets dumped back into the game and they have enough money to go around and get the right people, get the right personnel, put the money into PvE, which we're going to talk about next, and just actually give the game the ecosystem it deserves, in which case then I am okay with that. So I'm going to agree to disagree on the shop prices. I think the bundles that are made to be bundles are actually okay in my book, especially if you look at the other titles and how much they sell for. And that brings us to our last point, which is going to be PvE. I'm hoping PvE will change things, but after seeing how they've handled the launch of this game, unfortunately, I've lowered my expectations to rock bottom. I don't have confidence that it's going to be good. I wish I did, but it's really hard to believe in a team that clearly promises one thing, say they want to do certain things, but are so bad at execution that they just consistently do the opposite. I have no faith in the ability of this team. Not the community team, not the leadership, specifically the hero balance team, who are probably also doing the PvE. I don't think they'll be able to make it rewarding. They've just shown continuously that they have no understanding of the fundamentals of what needs to happen in this game, and I don't see it ever changing. So that's my honest state of Overwatch 2. I think the game is in terms of its competitive state, in complete turmoil and failure, life support, going to die. The Overwatch League teams doing what they did yesterday prove that about the competitive scene. The ranked mode is a joke. The game balance is embarrassingly bad. Completely lied to the community and manipulated them into believing that they were going to be different when they really were not at all. And I'm sick of it. There's no salvaging that. They need a new team to be in charge of the game balance and maybe not the hero design. I think Alec deserves a chance. But unfortunately, with the Microsoft acquisition happening, it's going to be very hard for any turnover to actually come through. It's like the company's in a state of limbo. So let me know what you guys think about what I said. I'd love to hear some honest feedback down in the description. I'm probably going to get a lot of comments on the shops and 5v5 or 6v6. But my code to play 6v6 and what I've balanced so far with the document reviewing all the changes I made is going to be down in the description too. So if you guys want to play it and try it out for yourself, by all means, go for it. Nothing but love to you guys at home. Give me some feedback, and I will see you guys next time.